ready? Sí.
Right, okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is now 5 o'clock, 5:01. It is September 14, 2021. Welcome to our Calexico Unified School District Board of Trustees, a special board meeting. Item A, opening items. A1, call to order. Janet?
Trustees present this evening are Trustee Magallanes, Trustee Alvarado, Trustee Lorenzo Calderon Jr., and Trustee Ciro Calderon, with Trustee Romero absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Janet. A2, Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance? Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That was item A2. Item B, comments from the public. The board will take any and all comments from the public related to the sole items on the agenda. We have only one. We have Juan Rodriguez under negotiations. Did you bring at least one to put over there?
Yes, we did.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
No, okay, sorry about that. Okay,
Thank you.
good afternoon. Okay, fellow colleagues, board. Okay, I want to start off to reading a statement to you. Okay, my name is Juan Rodriguez, and I am a 7th grade math teacher at Enrique Camarena Junior High School. I'm also part of the ACT negotiations team. The reason I'm here is to read this to you, okay? And you've just been handed a document, okay? For many years, at least 5, district representatives have been frustrated and fed up with delayed negotiations, delayed compensation increases, delayed changes to health and welfare benefits, and delayed completion of negotiations. This was the message that was sent by your district team and your lawyer. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, with all due respect, I have been with the district for over 30 years, and I have seen my share of the way that negotiations have taken place and how they've been stagnant in those years. I believe that it is time for a change. Therefore, I, as being part of the negotiations team, am sharing with you a written guarantee for you that I and all the members of the negotiations team signed and committed to. I shall read it to you now, for the record. A month after ACT members have ratified the proposal for 17-18, 18-19, and 19-20 contract, we will commit to begin the negotiations process for 2021, 21-22, 22-23, which will include negotiations for salary benefits and other articles as reopeners. We committed to this because we want to move forward, to come to an agreement so that we can get back to normalcy in our district and serve the needs of the students in our community. And that's what we're here for. Okay? We are committed. At times, you know what, it's one without the other, and you know, with all due respect, when the lawyer was present, he says that it had been stagnant. He's only been for a short time. I've been at this district for many, many years, and it's been the norm. Let's change that. Let's put the kids first. Let's come to an agreement. Let's settle. We're ready. When you're ready, we'll go to the negotiations again. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Rodriguez.
usually don't comment, we're not supposed to, but thank you for your information, and congratulations on your team last night.
Well, you know what? Some of us
That
do
was a
have
good
good
game.
taste, okay?
And Mr. Rodriguez, I would also like to congratulate you on your good taste. Okay.
Thank
By
you.
wearing that shirt.
Thank you. And you know what? Like I said, let's just go back. I mean, really, I mean, all our members and everything, we want to go back. We want to, but you know what? Let's work on an equitable contract. Let's go ahead, keep everybody happy. Let's, like others in the valley. That's what we're in it for, okay? And you might say, you know what? Well, are we being difficult? No, we just want to be something that's fair. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you.
With that said, Board President, is there any possible way could we move over G4 to now before we go into closed session?
Well, I have,
think it's very important that we go over this right now before we go into closed session because I had some questions in regards to it also as well.
I just have a comment regarding negotiations, and thank you, Mr. Rodriguez, for providing input. And as part of this board, we the five of us have a duty of making sure that the district stays solvent and that the district is, for the lack of better words, allowed or being able to pay its debt, right, its bills. But I was looking at Mr. Montaño's spreadsheet that he gave us the other day, and I have to say that I saw a lot of numbers that when I did my own calculations do add up with what Mr. Montaño is saying, although it's not the same what he did, but they do add up. Okay, so I think today in closed session, I do have a lot of questions. For example, I want to know where our money is going, because if other districts are allowed to pay or to offer those salaries even with a cap, why is it that we're being told that if we go with a cap, we cannot match those salaries? That's one of the questions that I have. The other question that I have, well, like I said, where's our money going? If we cannot pay, if we cannot reach that, why is it? Where it is that our money is going? So I will be bringing that up in closed session, because it worries me that among the biggest districts, we are number 6. We are number 6, and even with the cap, we don't go past 5. So, anyways, I think I had to say it. It had to be said. The 5 of us need to discuss that, and it will be discussed. So, again, thank you for coming to our meeting. And Mr. Alvarado, you said that you wanted to go straight into what?
Just G4?
G4.
To go into closed session?
If the board is okay with that, I'd like to go into G4. Is that okay with you guys?
I'm okay with that.
Okay, Alvarado, Mr. Calderon? Okay, so let's go into G4. G4, approval of the 2021 unaudited actuals and 2021-2022 revised budget. What happened? What happened? Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Mr. Gonzalez, and everyone joining us tonight. For the record, my name is Maribel Paez, and I'm the Acting Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. And tonight I will be presenting the 2021 unaudited actuals and 21-22 revised budget.
I don't mean to.
First and foremost, I would just like to thank you for having this special meeting that gave us a little bit more time to finalizing closing our books. I just want to start by saying that in the history of school finance in California, this has been one of the most difficult and challenging years just to forecast and prepare for a budget and for the closing of your books because of all the one-time funds. These funds, and I'm going to go through the presentation, but these funds come with a lot of strings attached, including developing of expenditure plans. They come with expenditure reporting deadlines, new requirements. There's new law coming up every day. There is assembly bills passing left and right. So it's really, really hard just to keep up with all these changes and updates that we're being having. So with that said, you see a budget that a lot of my counterparts, we're struggling just, you will not see a pattern on our budget. There is all of our budget just fluctuating so much due to these one-time funds. So the unaudited actuals, we're calling unaudited actuals because these are actually the final financial statements of your expenditures and revenues from your prior year. And they call unaudited because we actually, they haven't been audited by an independent audit firm. So that's why they're called unaudited, but this is the closing of your books. And this is a requirement that we complete, and the report is presented on a board meeting before September 15. So part of our California Department of Education requires that the following exact financial reports for this period. I don't know if you had the opportunity to read the packet, but it's close to 200 pages of financial statement reports that we need to get done and complete. And part of those financial statements are the records and reports for our general fund, which is our main source of revenue, or general fund. Then we have our formal aid, our student activity fund. This is a new fund this year. This is a new requirement where we actually needed to record all of our ASV, Associated Student Body activities within our financial system. So we're currently keeping track of all these ASV activities. These ASV funds are actually managed by the principals, but they're actually overseen by the district, by business services. And we actually use QuickBooks, a separate system to actually account for all these revenues and expenditures, everything that is happening on sites. And then we also have internal audits for all these activities as well. We do our own internal audits, and then we also get an independent audit firm audit all those activities as well. But part of the new law, a new requirement this year, was to make it part of our financial system and escape, and just track all of our revenues, expenditures, and our ending fund balance. That's our formal aid, which is our Fund 08. Then we have our Fund 11, our Adult Education Fund. This one is about $500 million on allocation that we get awarded. We got awarded a WIOA grant, and they will be for another year, 22-23. So that's pretty much our Fund 11. Or Fund 12, which is our Child Development Fund. That is the state preschool at Kennedy Gardens. That's about $400,000 that we also have to manage. Fund 12. We have the Fund 13, our Cafeteria Fund. We have a Form 14 that we do have to report, and this fund is actually not very active, our deferred maintenance fund, but it does have a balance of about like $7,000 or $8,000. So we have to make it part of our it's part of our general ledger, so we have to report it year end. Or Form 21, our building fund, that's our Measure V and now Measure Q. All the transactions that go in and out, they go under Fund 21. Fund 25, Capital Facilities Fund, is our developer impact fees. That's where we get all of our building permits deposits. That goes to Fund 25. We have Fund 35, or a county school facility fund. This is another fund that it did not had a lot of activity during the year. However, we're going to start seeing a lot of activity. As you may be aware, we did get a reimbursement from our culinary arts of about $1 million. And this is where we're going to be depositing all the state reimbursement that we receive are going to be deposited to Fund 35. So we're going to start seeing more activity in this fund, but this is a good opportunity for the district. This is good news for us. Fund 51, Bond Interest and Redemption Fund. This is a fund that is not managed by the district. They're managed by the Treasurer's Office. But at year end, we do have to track all of the revenues and expenditures, all the activities that happen under this fund. They are managed by the Treasurer's Office, County Treasurer's Office. We still have to report it. And last but not least, we have our Fund 67, our self-insurance fund, and this is our vision and vision and dental revolving account. In addition to all of our funds financial statements, we have supplemental financials that we have to comply with, and that's our certification. We have Form A, our average daily attendance. And I just, as you can see, I just noted, if you see the report for Form A, it actually asks for the current ADA, but they also ask you for the funded ADA. Our funded ADA right now, 2021 and 21-22, is the 8,669 because we are being held harmless. However, if the true numbers, for example, and let's just talk about this year, 21-22, we have about 8,547 enrollment. And times, if you actually multiply it by the absenteeism percentage, it will give you about 8,300 on ADA. So this is about 350 something less, and this is equivalent to about 4 million less revenue. So I mean, it's a good thing that this is happening, but now with all the challenges we're facing with independent study, I'm not sure how our real numbers are going to look this year, ADA, and if we're not, that to this day, we don't know if we're going to be hold harmless again, we're going to be in trouble. CEA, current expense formula. This is actually very important, and we have to meet it at year end. We are a unified school district, meaning that we have to meet 55% of our expenditures have to be appropriate for classroom instructional expenditures. Do you have a question? Mr. Kath?
No.
Oh. Okay, sorry. So, on top of, so we're meeting our CEA, this is a very good news, because on top of all the challenges we're facing, we're still meeting all of our maintenance of efforts. We're meeting our maintenance of effort for special education. So as you can see, no child left behind maintenance of effort, or GAN. So we're meeting all of our other requirements on top of all the challenges that we're facing. Any questions? Okay. Is there a way to make it bigger? No? Okay. Can you see it well, or do you need a copy of the presentation? Let me see, I believe I have copies. Okay. Okay, so let me go over these are the reasons for changes. This is actually a comparison of 2021 estimated actuals versus our unaudited actuals, which is the closing of our books. As you can see, the first one, which is on our revenues, the LCFF sources, there was just a small adjustments to unduplicated pupil count from a 91.43 to a 91.73, which gave us 157 more. Or federal revenues, categorical program, financial carryover, and unearned revenue were one of the major changes. And you want me to a little bit of explain what for example, an unearned revenue is? Those are cash that we receive in the year that we haven't not spent yet. So what do we have to do at year end? If the district did not if we were not able to spend it, all of our federal revenues, which are categoricals in any particular fund, then we need to carry over for the next year so we can utilize it on the upcoming year. We also had carry over in our in-person instruction and expanded learning opportunity of 3.1. And then we have a small amount for our local grants, which is the Strong Workforce and the IID, as we were not able to complete some of the things. A challenge that we have every year also is that, for example, overall expenditures decrease due to year-end carryover and unearned revenue, yes, but also there's expenditures that do not happen or do not arrive before June 30th. So what happens? We have to move those expenditures to the new year. It's illegal for us if we receive an item and it's already July 1st, it doesn't belong to prior year. So that's very important to consider. We go to expenditures or certificated salaries. This is pretty much, and that's what I'm saying, everything that happens to our revenue, whenever you move your revenue, you have to move the expenditures that go with those revenues. So that's a 3.5 savings from substitute teachers, extra duty stipends, and the year-end adjustments to our categoricals. And I'm just gonna go over the major changes. As you can see from books and supplies, the 5.8 less expenditures is where it is actually the largest number there, and it's because many of the purchases for materials and supply, just itself, we had a science textbook adoption of about 2 million that we tried to get it done. We tried for all the materials to arrive before July 30th, and because of the challenges we're also facing, we couldn't make that happen. So that expense actually moved to 21-22
So that's an expense that we're gonna have to take on
this year.
This year, right?
Yes, because the materials did not arrive before 6:30.
Okay.
So you have to move them. Utility costs, travel expenses, professional contract services, and direct charges, savings due to school closures. That's another area. And the other ones are just other small adjustments during closing. So as you can see, excess of revenue over expenditures, we actually closed the year with a plus of 11,371,000. So that's good news. The beginning fund balance of prior as of July 1st, 2020 was the 25 million. You add the 11 million plus, and that gives you a new ending balance for June 30, 2021 of 36 million, giving us a ending fund balance of 27.80%. Any questions?
But a lot of that money is expenses that didn't happen as of June 30th, so now they have to be carried over.
Correct. And you're going to see on the next analysis, you're going to see the new revision, and you're going to see all the revenue move to the next year, which is 21-22, our current year. Also, a lot of the savings, there's a lot of things that happened this year, a lot of savings opportunities we had with the one-time funds, a lot of savings due to schools being closed. There is just a lot of things that happen on 2021 that makes us close the books in a very positive way. Our revision, our current budget. Even though the focus is closing our books, which is our 2021, we still have the opportunity to make a revision to our budget. However, the focus here of this report, more than anything, is the closing of your books, your final numbers. So these are also the revisions that were made, and this is because, remember, we adopted a budget back in June, and then we got AB 130 coming on board July 9th, so there was also changes happening with their current budget. One of the main one was the concentration grant rate increased from 50% to 65%, giving us the 4.7 for LCFF sources that now we have as a revenue for this year. Now, I do want to emphasize that for those 4.7, we do have to develop a plan. We have to develop like a supplemental LCAP update plan that has to be developed and approved by the board before February 28. So this is another new plan that we need to work on. This 4.7 and the new LCAP plan, basically they're telling us, and the requirement is for those 4.7 to be utilized for classified and certificated staff. Now, so as you can see, a lot of the one-time funds, all of them, majority, their string attached is to develop plans. Categorical program, as you can see there, you can see the 4.6 plus. You can see the second row. That's actually the carryover. You see the negative in 1 year, you will see the plus in the next year. So that's actually your categorical program carryover and honor from 2021. Then the same thing happens for the state revenues. We have a plus because of the closing. And then we have the strong workforce that now we have round 1, 2, and 3. Now, what happens with salaries? What happens with the certificated salaries? We do have a decrease there, but if you can see, this decrease is not due to permanent positions. These are non-positional monies, which is like, for example, your substitutes, your extra stipends, things like that. And the reason for this change, if you can see in the bottom, we have allocated more funding on books and supplies, capital outlay. And it was very hard back in May when they tell you, okay, you have 42 million, put them somewhere in the budget. We don't know what the plan is going to be. We don't know really, there's no idea that everybody can see, okay, this is exactly what it's going to be spent for. So you allocate the funding, the best guess scenario. But then things are coming up, as you start working and seeing what you need, that's when you start moving and shifting the monies in other areas. ESSER 3 plan, we have to develop an ESSER 3 plan now, and it has to be board approved by October 29. So that's our next big deadline. If we don't comply with that, we lose the 42 million. We have to comply with the plan. So we have to come out with an expenditure plan within a few weeks. You have a question, Mr. Calderon? I'm sorry.
Well, I was just looking at classified salaries. You mentioned the one-time payment of $1,750, but I thought that $1,750 came from the ESSER's fund. So why are you putting that under classified salaries?
Oh, this is all this is everything, including restricted and unrestricted. All this is revenues and expenditures. It includes all the months, the non-time funds and one-time funds, all your funding. So yes, it came from the one-time funds, but it affects your budget. It impacts your budget.
Yeah,
So what happens there? We have
the ESSER's money. We did not plan on the ESSER's money. So if our budget was based on something, so let's say that we never got those ESSER funds, we would have never given that $1,750 to our employees. So why is it that you're saying that it's affecting our balance? Yes, we gave $1,750 to our CSEA, but we also received ESSER's money. So how is that affecting our balance?
So these are the changes. So what I'm presenting is everything that happened, revenue and expenditure wise. What did happen that we didn't know in May? What things changed on our budget that we were not aware in May? We were not aware of the one-time funds. So what happens to your estimated original budget? Now that we know, now that we have to pay this at $1,750, we need to account for. So these are new things that are coming up.
Okay.
So everything that is new, every time you have a reporting period, you have to make sure that you account for all those new things. I'm pretty sure there is going to be, we're having more one-time funds that we're going to be receiving. I think we're going to be receiving Gear 2. We're going to be receiving more expanded learning opportunity grant. But at this moment, I don't have the allocation amounts. No one does. Once we get them, that I know it's going to be very, very near, we're probably going to be able to include them under their first interim. So right now is the best, all the information that I have up to now that I can give you and present. Okay, so we have books and supply, and that's where we're changing things around. It's not that we're adding, we're changing things around. So the change, as you can see, we went from a 3.7 excess of revenue over expenditure, so our deficit spending decreased a little bit from 3.7 to 3.6. And we have to understand something. Right now, the one-time funds, even though they mitigate a lot of our general fund, we cannot utilize our one-time funds for ongoing expenditures. So we're still facing a deficit spending. But I can say now that close or by year closing, we're probably gonna end up closing much, much better. But right now, I need to account for everything. I need to account for everything, our worst case scenario. I have to account for all of our substitute. I have to account for traveling. I have to account for all these things that we know are gonna happen. And with, how is that saying? You plan for the worst, hope for the best. That's how you need to develop a plan. Any questions?
It's 5:30. It's 5:30. No, sorry.
Okay. Let me see what else there. Okay. I just wanted to bring to the board because I know this is probably one of the most right now that we're facing with all these one-time challenges. I mean, it's a good thing to have, but it's still more responsibilities, more work, more things to track. And so this is the whole scenario of our one-time funds. As you can see, there is a lot of them that we have already spent, a lot of them that were already spent by 6/30/2021, leaving us the ESSER 2. We still have about 16 million on our ESSER 2, and we have our close to 42 million on our ESSER 3, and we have to develop a plan for that and bring it to you, to the board next month. We also have a little bit of in-person instruction grants still available, around 1.7, and we have the expanded learning of about 5 million still. So all this is in the budget. I just wanted to give you a recap of our one-time funds. Any questions?
What's the deadline for using the ESSER funds?
2024, September 2024, yes.
Well, we have a deadline to come up with a plan, right?
Yes.
So October this year?
Oh, yes, next month. So,
Oh,
yes,
snap.
we might need a special meeting because we're exhausted, but we have to develop these plans and all these new requirements, and we need to get it done within a couple weeks. Okay. Okay, even though a multi-year projection is not part of an unaudited actuals, meaning that the Office of Education nor CDE requires an MYP because this is a closing of the of your book, so the focus is not your current budget, even though you can make revisions. I just wanted to bring an MYP with updated information because remember, the ending fund balance percentage increase due to our increased beginning balance from prior year closing. So we're closing much better. This is gonna impact your numbers and gonna impact your MYP and your cash balance. So just so you can see a difference from prior to closing, the latest MYP, you can see the percentage there, and now we're totally better numbers. Another thing to emphasize here is very important is that we still, under net increase and decrease red numbers, we're still projecting our deficit spending. Any questions?
Are you including a decrease in the ADA on this?
Exactly. Yes. So when you build an MYP, it has to be with all the latest assumptions that you have. Right now, the 22, 23, 23, 24, these MYPs do reflect the change of the ADA, current ADA. We have to.
And when calculating, when doing this, are you calculating salaries and benefits as we are doing right now, or are you projecting with different forms of calculations?
We're projecting out the positions we have,
And-
everything as we have now. But for example, if you can see some of those changes on certificated salaries, the one-time funds does impact salaries as well. So even though you're increasing, for example, you know that your CalPERS costers is going to increase, those are taken into consideration. So things are going up, but guess what? Things are going down on our NYP because our categorical funding or one-time fund is decreasing as well.
Okay.
So yes, it was very challenging
So
to put an
you're
NYP
calculating
together.
everything as it stands right now?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay, all right. No changes in salaries and benefits or, I mean, other than.
No,
what we have?
except for the step in column.
Yes.
That it has to be considered in an
Are
MYP.
you calculating?
Nothing that we don't know. Negotiations, no, we don't know.
Are you calculating approximate COLAs on these years?
Yes, correct. The MYPs, which is the LCFF source and is the main source, I don't come up with those numbers. Those numbers are given to me by an LCFF calculator that is actually given through the districts by the county. The
Okay.
county monitors that LCFF and then provides you a calculator to the district. I cannot invent my numbers. Now, all these reports on top of the independent audit firm, we're going to get the Office of Education that monitors each transaction that we make and monitors all of our reporting as well. So these are just our fiscal challenges ahead of us. As we know, we're declining enrollment. Yes, we're closing the books really good with that. That's a great news, but we're still facing challenges ahead of us. Enrollment, as you can see, that's the history analysis of our enrollment. We have health and welfare, and this is just active employees. It's not taking into consideration any retirees. We have unfunded programs like special ed, and our routine restricted maintenance 3% of our expenditures that have to be go to the upkeep of our buildings. Workers' compensation rate. And remember, even though everybody, all the districts, yes, we have a statutory payroll rates where we all have to use the same rates for CalPERS, for Medicare, for unemployment. We have one that is just Calexico, which is workers' comp. Everyone else is like 3 times less than what we're paying. They're paying 2%, 3%, 1%. We've been paying all this, we've been paying like such a high rate for workers' comp. So this is something that we definitely need to look into. Now, our pension employer rates increases, as you can see. Look at the 22-23, 26% for CalPERS.
And there's nothing we can do about that, right?
No, those are coming straight from CDE. So those are the challenges we're facing, and even though, like I said at the beginning, it's been tremendously a challenge to close the books. Not only all the financial stuff, but all of your inventory with the one-time funds, all of our inventory increased. You have to reconcile your inventory at the warehouse, at food services, all your capital projects, your construction projects, the depreciation of your fixed assets. There's so much work that gets done. And really quick, I know we're running out of time, but I just want to thank my staff. I want to thank all the departments, because it's not only business, but we all, food services, warehouse did an amazing job at all keeping up with all the inventory and our capital projects. I really want to thank everyone that helped us with closing. And now, next, we have our deadline coming up. We have at the end of the month, we have our audit firm coming to audit our financials, to audit this information that I'm giving to you guys. And we're not going to have the results maybe by November, December. They're going to have like a preliminary report. Then we're going to be probably presenting or audit December or January to the board.
Well, thank you. Really good, and straight to the point, easy to read
Thank you.
presentation. Any comments?
Thank you so much for the report.
Thank
It was
you,
something
welcome.
that I was looking forward to, because
Thank you for giving us this special meeting.
Thank you, Maribel.
So that was the G4, approval of the 2020-21 unaudited actuals and 2020-21-22 revised budget.
So moved.
So motion by Mr. Romero, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Alvarado. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. And let the record be shown that Mr. Romero arrived at 5:30. Thank you.
And my apologies for that.
No, no need to. Where were we? Okay, on B, okay. Comments from the public, we took all the comments. Item C, announcement of convening into closed session. At this point, we're going to closed session to talk about items D1. We will let the public know when we're back from closed session. Thank you.
Thank you.